my mixing went from like amazing one day, and literally 3 days later, I'm like, oh, this song is terrible. Like, what did I do? And I was getting really, really frustrated. And I was like, hey, why are these techniques not working? I don't understand why they're not working. And this is where the lesson came in. This is what I want to share with you. Yo, it's Thomas Anthony from FOXX Music. FOXX Music is a music collective where we help you become the artist that you were meant to be so that you can confidently share your story with the world and make an impact with your message. Every Tuesday, I share my experiences from over 10 years in the music industry, and I give you no BS tips related to music business, production, and marketing. So if that's something you're interested in, consider subscribing and hit the little bell notification thingy if that's your thing. Let's jump right into the topic of today, which is how to become a better music producer. Now, I'm going to tell you a little story of what happened to me last week. So last week, I was finally getting back into the studio. I hadn't been in the studio for a while, or I was working on finishing up projects, but I hadn't really started anything new. So I took the time and I had a full day session, and I just went in the studio completely open-ended, didn't know what I was going to create, and I just came out and I ended up making this super badass banger. It was really, really awesome. I was super proud of my work. The next day I got up early, I mixed the whole thing down, got it knocked out. So 2 days, start to finish, mixed, mastered, ready to go, and it sounded amazing. Then I walked around for about a week being like, I'm a badass, my production skills are next level, I did that in 2 days, that was so good, oh my god. And I also wanted to keep, ride that wave of momentum that I was just building up there, and I sat back in the studio next session, and I wanted to crank out another track. So I cranked out another track, got all the creative parts done, made it really bumping, and just was in a good zone of momentum with music. And then I went to go mix it down. And here is where the problem happened. Now, I was so proud from the last track. I was like, oh, my mixing is so good these days. I learned all these new techniques that I've been trying out, and they were so awesome, and they made this song sound so banging, and I was really, really happy with them. So I sat down and spent about 4 hours mixing the track, and then I usually check in on my monitors downstairs. I usually check in on my laptop and my earbuds. And when I checked on that, I was like, oh, I'm like, this mix sounds terrible. It was so muddy. All the highs were too harsh. I thought I had done everything that I did before, and I was like, what the heck? Like, my mixing went from amazing one day, and literally 3 days later, I'm like, oh, this song is terrible. Like, what did I do? And I was getting really, really frustrated, and I was like, hey, why are these techniques not working? I don't understand why they're not working. And this is where the lesson came in. This is what I want to share with you. So I took some time off, and I went to the gym and just repondered and tried to get my emotions under control and stop having a little pity party and calling the ambulance and be like, why isn't my mixing as good as it used to be? So I just sat back and I was like, well, there has to be a reason why this song sounds shittier than the last one. Like, why is the mix sounding much worse? And I decided, I'm like, I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna take a deep breath, I'm gonna go open up the old project and look at the techniques that I was using. So I went back and I opened the project up, and I realized that my mind was playing tricks on me. I wasn't doing the same techniques that I initially had planned, that I initially had down. I did in the kick and the bass and the drums and got that sounding all nice, but when it came to all the other instruments, I just overlooked things, and I grouped everything together, and I was trying to process everything at once and just put saturation on everything and make things sound like super huge, and just all these weird techniques that I thought that I did, and I was just overpopulating all of the effects that I had on, and this made the mix sound super shitty. So for example, one of the areas was like horns. The horns sounded really, really abrasive, and I thought that I put like 3 saturators and a distortion on there to give them a big color and size. And then I looked back on the old one, and I just put a little bit of decapitator on there, just to give it a little bit of warmth, and that was it. And then I mixed that over top of the bass, and it sounded super fat. So I was just over processing. So I mixed down the song with the old, in the same way that I did with the old track, with the first track, and the mix was amazing, and it was a really, really, really next level. And I learned a couple things, and I was like, okay, this is definitely the process that I need to follow with this. It's a really, 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 really good idea to reflect back on the previous track that you made, and really look back at your mistakes and which things worked really well, and jotting them down as notes, and then improving for the next one, because your mind, at least my mind, plays tricks on me, and I think that I'm doing all these other crazy techniques, like adding lots of distortion, adding lots of plugins, making things, just overcomplicating things, because I thought that's what I was actually making a difference. But when I look back at the actual project in reality, I noticed that, well, I didn't really use that much processing on things. I used the bare minimum, and I just mixed things really well. So what I came up with, I made a little reflection sheet that I have printed out, and I started to do with every song now, and I have it linked down in the description, so if that's something you're interested in, you can check it out. It's just a small little gate on it. You can download it for free. But what's on there is basically a little time frame of how long it takes you to do each section. So like the creation, the arrangement, the mixing, the mastering, all that kind of stuff just gives you a little bit of time frame to kind of work towards, like, to get better and better each time, because you should be tracking your hours and trying to get better and better with each track. And then under that, after you're done the song, you write down what are the things that went well in the song. So like maybe I mixed the bass really well, maybe a kick and bass relationship, the vocals sounded really nice in this track, and then try to find out why they sounded nice. Maybe it was the plug-in chain, maybe it was like the area where the vocals were sitting, maybe you had like a low tone in the vocals and they just worked really nice. Maybe jot that down. Then jot down the things that didn't work so well. So you're like, maybe like, oh, my bass sounded a little bit muddy in this track, or my breakdown was kind of a little weak and a little hollow. So those are the things on the next track that you're going to look and be like, okay, I'm really going to try and improve on those things, and I'm going to maintain my consistency on the initial bits, the things that were working really well. So then I would write down as well one thing that you're going to work on with the next track. So whether that's getting the bass clearer, getting vocals clearer, making your drums pop more, whatever it is, just pick one thing. And then by doing that, after every track, you're going to become a better and faster music producer. And that is where the magic happens, because you want to be able to put out content that is amazing consistently. Now, I just wanted to make this quick little video because this is something that I went through last week. I'm really back in production mode. I'm just like banging out tracks, which is super awesome. I was getting really frustrated with working with vocalists over a long period of time, because you have to go back with vocalists, they have to nail the vocal, you got to see if it fits in the song. It's a huge long process and it's a lot of work and it's very frustrating. So I decided, I'm like, I'm just gonna make some songs that don't require any other person's ability besides my own, and I'm so happy about it. And I've been banging out tracks, so I'm really back in production mode. So the next couple of videos are really going to be geared towards whatever things I'm working on in the studio and whatever like techniques that I can share with you while I'm in this like batch mode of making tunes, because the festival season's coming up in the summer and I will have a ton of banging new tunes to give to everybody. Now, if you are struggling with production, or you need some help leveling up, or maybe you've hit a plateau and you don't know what the next level is, I've just linked a new little sign up form for my one-on-one mentoring program. That's going to be one-on-one, completely tailored to everyone's specific needs. So if that's something you're interested in, click the link below and I will send you an email regarding information about that. Question of the day: do you reflect on your projects? Do you ever go back and look and maybe make adjustments to your template just to make things easier and faster in the future? Let me know what your little secrets are in the comment section below. In the description, again, like I said, you're going to find that little template, that little worksheet that shows you the reflection. I physically print them out so I can write the stuff down. I feel like it really gets internalized when I write things down, as opposed to just having them on a computer. Now, I definitely encourage you to start reflecting. I know it's an extra step into, but after you finish a song, you're like, oh, I don't really want to do that, but trust me, it's a good idea. So that's linked down below. You'll also find some other really helpful PDFs down there, along with my monthly mix series. There's a link to that, which I have a monthly DJ mix that's super high energy, great for the gym and getting the party started. Every month I have that out, and it's linked down below. It's called Smell the Roses. I also have my 3 Spotify playlists: a chill one, a pretty one, and a dirty one for the parties. So if that's something you're interested in, all of it's linked below. You can find me everywhere online at It's Tom Anthony, and that's also linked down below. And you can find me on Instagram at It's Tom Anthony. And if you have any questions, just hit me up on there, and I usually voice note people back. All right, thanks again for watching. Like this video if you liked it. Hit the subscribe button if you loved it and you want to see more of this content. And yeah, until next time, keep it fancy. Peace.